Hey. And our main man, Danny.
Break it down for me, fellas.
And Danny right here with Oracle Construction. Just thanks for everybody that came out here. Perfect, yes. You guys all shake hands. Say hello to everybody.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Get this thing going. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here. We're highlighting, Women's History Month right here as well, so that's awesome. Just beyond excited just to talk to you both, all four of you, everybody, just about, one, your business, your history, just the stories that we have. Obviously, we got some questions and stuff that we're going to get down to, but I'm going to pass this over to Jeff. He's got a few things to say.
I forgot. Thank you, all you ladies, for taking the time to come up here. You all mean a lot to me. We've got some good history together, and I hope to continue that over quite a few years of working in promoting the trades to young adults. So, and I want to say thank you to Danny and all his partners for opening up the venue here. Someday I'll learn how to get it right. So thank you very much, and we're looking forward to hearing your opinions. You've got a very broad background of experiences, and our listeners should certainly enjoy this episode. 200. Thank you.
Perfect. Again, 200th episode, and we got to get it started right here. So, opening questions. We're going to ask all of you to just go ahead and introduce yourself. Who's ready to go first? I see Nina. She's already ready to go.
So ready.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. That was much louder than I anticipated. My name is Nina Ridgley, and I'm the Regional Development Coordinator for the Home Builders Institute. That's a long, fancy way of saying I help people. Primarily veterans, transitioning service members, and those who are interested in becoming tradesmen and women. We do a cost-free trades training pre-apprenticeship that helps people become carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and HVAC. And so we're very passionate about getting them certified, OSHA 10, 30, et cetera, and getting them qualified and confident to move into the trades industry. That's basically.
It's pretty cool. That's what it is. My name's April Edwards, and I'm the founder of Deck Builder Marketers. We work with deck builders across the country, outdoor living contractors. We really just help them get better projects so that they could better serve their teams in the community and grow their businesses. I also wrote the Deck Builder Marketing Playbook and host of the We Love Deck Builders podcast. So I talk to a lot of builders. So from the business side, I've got, a lot of inside scoop. We should be friends. Yeah. All right. We're making friends here.
Well, what she didn't mention was she's actually a columnist for my publication. So I work for Deck Specialist magazine. It's the only trade publication that's dedicated to the professional deck builder and the outdoor living contractor. And so she is actually a columnist, and her focus on marketing helps my audience to learn how to do their businesses better. And so we publish 6 times a year, and then we also have a podcast that she and I have shared podcasts together, and so we just collaborate quite a bit.
Yeah. Who are you? You're the editor. Did you say that?
I think so.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Robertson from Burger Hardware and Superior Foreign Cabinet Designs. I say Burger Hardware first because that's where I got my start, the old-fashioned way. I married in. And I purchased Superior Floor Designs in 2017, added cabinetry to it, and created it into Superior Floor and Cabinet Designs. And I don't know what else to say.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, you know what I think is the most amazing? Burger Hardware was started in 1912 by my husband's great-grandmother as a divorced woman with 2 small children.
That's awesome.
So you'd think that for the whole life of that company, that women in the trades or women in associated businesses would be a big deal. I was married to my husband for almost 30 years before I was told that. It was not something to be celebrated. It was something to be hidden and shameful. That's sad. But here we are in 2026, 114 years later, and I'm the last woman standing. I'm the last member of the family.
That's right. So a big round of applause for that. Yeah. That's a lot of go ahead, keep the microphone, because that's a lot of history and just a lot of experience behind the microphone right now. And Cheryl, I got a question for you, and it'll go passed down around for everybody as well. But from your perspective, what makes that construction trade such a powerful industry to be a part of right now?
I think it's a powerful industry because there's a lot of need out there. There's a lot of need for good people in the construction trades, for people with integrity, for people who care about their clients, for people who care about the outcomes of their projects, for people who care about their employees. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for the right people. I think for a long time, contractors have been looked at as the same or less than used car salesmen, because a lot of them are that way. And you have to convince people of your integrity one client at a time. But I think that those of us who feel that it's important do a good job of that and really regain people's faith in the industry.
Well, I think what is so special about the industry that I am seeing is a collaboration that's taking place on the contractor level. There's been a differentiation in the last year or so where contractors are finding their specialty and they're leaning into those specialties, and then they're collaborating with other builders who have different specialties. So then they're able to create on a higher level, because where one maybe lacks the craftsmanship to build an idea or a concept, the other one can basically help them to bring it to life. And so we're seeing projects that we've never seen before. If you look, there's a national association called NADRA. It's a North American Deck and Railing Association. It's the only association dedicated to the professional deck builder. And in that organization, they have an annual awards ceremony. And this year, what I saw was that the winners, the ones that won the highest awards, usually had some sort of collaboration, whether it be with the manufacturers, the suppliers, or each other. And there were actually some award-winning designs that were created by one builder. The design was created by a builder, but the actual project was built by another, and then they were collaborating on site. And so there's a columnist that April and I know. His name is Brendan Casey, writes for the publication, and he said that the projects that didn't win this year would have been top winners in the years before. And so the competition was so stiff and so tight, but it's that collaboration that took those projects to the next level, and they were able to win those awards.
I went to 5 years of college. That was a lot of money in 5 years of my life. It was great, right? Like, I mean, I'm where I am, but I think that the world is shifting, and it's weird how I kind of feel like things are going in reverse a little bit. It's interesting even how AI is making people more authentic, or it's craving more authenticity. And so my perspective, first of all, there are a lot of dinosaurs in the industry right now that are trying to figure out what their exit plan is. And they have so much knowledge to give back. And the way I look at it is, if you're interested in getting in and you know anything about technology, oh my gosh, what a match made in heaven, right? Like, work with somebody that, can train you on the tools, and then you could give back in the areas that are, really weighing them down. Like these guys I talk to feel like they're stupid, and that's ridiculous. Like they're just used to their old ways and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity, to partner with somebody that will put you under their wing and then speed track your career, and own a business. I love this industry because you said it, creativity. How cool is it to like build something with your hands that's like, and like our deck builders, they work outside, and I would love to work outside in front of a computer, So I think there's just a lot of opportunity to step in and do, a craft and even excel on the business side of things. I think there's a lot of opportunity there because a lot of tradesmen go into owning their own businesses because, they like it. And they're like, well, might as well do this on my own, but they don't know anything about business. So I'd say there's a lot of opportunity on the business side.
For sure. Without a doubt, I think probably one of the most powerful elements within the construction industry that I've noticed is the empowerment that it gives the individual. I think when I was younger, I know when I was younger, and I was in kindergarten through 5th grade, they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the options were really only to be a police officer, a doctor, a teacher, something that required a degree. And if I were to say, I want to create, I want to build, I want to draw, I want to get dirty. We do that during recess, and that's free. We don't do that. But what I'm finding right now is, especially post-COVID, I think post-COVID, people were maybe, obsessed with, the DIY network, they wanted to change their home. They were tired of being stuck inside their own home, and the walls were caving in. So they took one down and then realized YouTube TV was not going to help. And so they were going to learn something else and learn something else. I'm finding now that people more than ever want to take that American dream and that creativity back. They want to empower themselves and learn how to do it. But it's by partnering with the people who have that experience, that knowledge, that trades life experience, with these young people who have the fervor and energy and passion for it. Both of those two things together really propels us to be able to create a really cool vision for what the trades can do, what we're capable of changing, the homes that we live in, the buildings that we walk through. It really gives us the opportunity to change for the better. And that to me is incredibly powerful.
Awesome. I mean, all great points. Down from some big round of applause right at the jury. I love it. Because, it's a lot of history, a lot of opportunities that are going out there. As the jobs, labor statistics have been coming out, you just know that there's a big need for a lot of the construction trades. And here we are. You guys are backing it up and letting us know a little bit more about it.
I've often asked people, what building do you want to hang out in that doesn't have Wi-Fi? And they're like, what? Or AC, right? They're like, no, I don't, right? Like, unless we're going camping, unless it's a very, very cognitive decision. So we need these people. You got to have the walls, you got to have the floors, you got to have the wire, you got to have we need them.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's what we talked about, just flipping the switch, same thing. If you want to be able to flip the switch in your own house, that someone in the construction industry touched that light switch to make sure it works. And you got to call someone back to make sure it works as well, or if it's broken. But let's keep it going, because we're going to, really talk about, really the women in the trades, specifically. Now, April, you probably talked to a handful of business owners, probably on the women's side, that women owned as well. So we'll start out with you. And how do you earn respect on the job site or in a business when you're the only woman in the room?
I can't speak to the job site, but I definitely have a lot of female clients. And, you know, I really just think the answer is to just be helpful, show up, and do a good job, just like, you know, anything else. If I were to give advice, it would just show up with confidence. Be confident, and you'll go pretty far. So, pretty simple.
Go ahead, Nina.
Without a doubt. I never question if I belong at the table. If I was invited, I belong. And so I think that confidence goes such a long way. Because the things that you do naturally and the things that you train yourself to do better, you're actually more likely, way more qualified than you thought than you think. You're the greatest doubter. And so if I could give any female in any room, don't doubt that you belong there. If you didn't belong there, you wouldn't be there. And the only thing holding you back from belonging in that room is you not bringing yourself.
I'll add to that. A little bit of what April said was, when you bring your best, gender is no longer the question. In fact, they don't even see you for your gender. They see you for your work. And so if your quality of your work is at the excellent level, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. It's that you are the best in the room for what you do. And so one builder told it like this. He said, there's a unique capability of women on the job site. He said they have an ability to see the finest details. And so they belong there because their male counterparts cannot see those details. And so for that reason, they're able to speak to the details that matter most to the female homeowner. And so they're able to speak a language that makes sense to her. And I did a podcast with, I don't know if you know who Vanilla Ice is, and he's a contractor of 30 years now, right? And he said, I don't sell my projects to the men of the household. I send them to the females. They're the decision maker in the family. And he said, so I need to speak to their sensibilities. So if you have a female on the job site, you're speaking to the female sensibility, who is the decision maker for most projects.
I think that the confidence is huge. I also think that the ability to listen, in my case, listen to what the clients are looking for, listen to what their goals are, asking detailed questions, and being very upfront and honest with them. When it comes to speaking to the women of the house, we design kitchens. Most kitchens in tract houses are designed by men. They don't make any sense. And they're designed by male contractors where it's, what's the easiest way, where's the easiest place to put the plumbing? Where's the easiest place to vent the hood? It's not where is it most functional. And once you point out to people how functionality can change and improve their workflow, that means a lot. But asking questions, listening, and then telling people that if I'm the one that wins your job, we're not leaving till you're happy. And things go wrong in construction. It's not that they go wrong, it's how you handle it. So emotional intelligence goes a long way.
Yeah, I love those. All great talking points. And I mean, it kind of follows up with, in the past 10 years, Cheryl, what have you seen that the industry is doing better today for women that they haven't done in the past 10 years?
Well, I told you about the family business denying that it was started by a woman. When I started taking more management role of Burger Hardware, a lot of our clients were old-time contractors, and they did not want to be waited on by a woman. And they'd say, well, I'm going to wait for one of the guys. I said, absolutely, no problem. There's only one of the guys here today, and he's got 2 people ahead of you, but I'll make sure that you're third in line. 10 minutes later, they're like, this is ridiculous. I need to speak to an owner. I'm like, okay. I stood up, I did a 360, and I said, how can I help you? There's not so much of that anymore, and I don't know if it's because of the change of women's roles in the construction industry, or if you get a little bit more credibility with more gray hair. But I think that, like I said, truly listening, asking questions that show you know what you're talking about, I think really help give you validity in the room. So I don't think it's such a gender bias for the most part. You do have people that are like that. And I don't know about you ladies, but I can smell them a block away. You just know the way they hold themselves, the way they look at you. They'll come in and they want to talk to my salesman instead of me because he's the man. And they're like, well, what can you do for me on this? And he turns to me and said, you need to ask the boss.
Well, I'll add this. In the last year, an estimated 1.3 million more women have entered the construction industry. And so as that continues to happen, it's not going to be the abnormal thing to see a female in the construction industry. It's just a matter of numbers, and it's going to be they're going to be everywhere doing everything and every level. And as a consequence, there won't be even a gender question eventually.
From what I see, and I wasn't in the industry, so it was 10 years ago was the question, right? Something is doing better today than 10 years ago. So I've been in the industry for about 5 years, and I actually see a lot of respect. I think that men, and I'm just going to say it, there's a lot of prideful people in general, right? And I see a lot of men really give the women a lot of credit. And quite honestly, I don't think women give themselves as much credit as they should. And that's where part of the problem is, if there is a problem. But I think that's beautiful, like a lot of them really attribute the success of the business to the woman who's usually running the business, because let's face it, man, we're really good at multitasking, and doing, like the men want to be out talking to the people and, building the stuff. And a lot of times women, it's really a matter of like everybody understanding what their brilliance is, what they're good at and what they like, right? And so I find that, again, a lot of the women are really wearing multiple hats and managing the business, and the men have no problem like putting them in the spotlight and giving them the credit that they deserve, because a lot of times they do not give themselves the credit they deserve. I also have one client, Gulf Coast Decks in Florida, and oh my God, it's a husband and wife couple, and they're both on the tools. I always do that because it sounds like you're on drugs or something, and you're on the tools. I talk to a lot of guys, they're like, I want to get off the tools, and I'm like, this is weird, but they're super cute and they work really well together, and I think it's like, I think that's what works good with couples too in any relationship, is like the yin and yang type of thing,
I got to add, I was actually going to use them as an example.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her name is Madison Rem, and she works with her husband, Hudson, and they work along the Emerald Coast of Florida. And they were recently honored. She was specifically honored on the cover of ProWood, which is a manufacturer in the industry. She was on the cover, and I actually did a project profile of that couple last year. And so I was like, oh, they're on the cover. And then they had a Q&A with her. And what I loved about not only seeing her on the cover of a huge manufacturer, but the fact that they didn't just show either them as a couple or him specifically, but they really chose to highlight her and to interview her. And she said that she started in drafting in high school. And then she loved it. It became like a creative passion for her. And so then she got her a construction management degree in college. And they're a very young couple. And she said what she loved about it was she saw one of her designs come to life. And the collaboration between her and her husband, they were able to bring something that she saw in her head, to fruition. And she said it just tickled her pink, she loved that. And so, yes, ironically, I was actually thinking of that same couple.
They're so cute.
I think what comes to mind is the Brooklyn Bridge. For those of you who don't know, the gentleman who is responsible for designing and building the Brooklyn Bridge, during the finalizing moments, he got really ill. And he was unable to actually complete it. He had to step back. And the only person who could really portray his vision as well as he wanted it was his wife. And so she actually orchestrated all of the teams, the final, everything to bring it all the way to fruition. So if it wasn't for someone like her in that moment to know, we wouldn't have the Brooklyn Bridge that we have today. And I think when people create space and opportunities for other people to step up and take ownership and say, you know what, I know the vision you have. I know what you can do. And I know what you want done. Trust me. What I love about the construction industry right now is we make space. We trust that someone else can carry the torch and they really can bring that project to its final completion. And it's so cool to see. And it's gender specific only because I'm watching there are rooms where there are young women who don't feel confident to speak their mind, and all of a sudden you have a vice president or someone who says, so-and-so, ma'am, what do you think? Giving them the opportunity to share their opinion really does change that personal confidence level, that moment of, I know this answer and I can do this. And when they get to see their ideas come into fruition, at the Home Builders Institute, my favorite day is called Doorbell Day. And it's when the students learn to wire their booth and that they get to ring the doorbell. And I'm in my office and I know it's Doorbell Day, so I'm like trying to contain my excitement, and all of a sudden here, ding dong, and I'm like, yeah, they did it. And I hear them all cheer. It's because they took what they learned and they had an opportunity to really just put it to practice. And the moment they do it, they're like, I got this. And so in the industry, if we continue to make space, to make room, and give people the opportunity to step up and step forward, man, we're going to launch.
We want to thank our sponsor. Superior Flooring Cabinet Designs is one of the landmark family-owned businesses in Encinitas. Owner Cheryl Robertson, with years of customer experience managing her family's hardware and cabinet business in North Park. Cheryl Robertson and the Superior team dive deep to learn about your project and help you find the perfect solution for your flooring and cabinetry needs. Call today at 760-436-0900 or visit www.superiorfloors.com.
I want to add something. So I was the coordinator of an event in the UK called Futurescape, and they also do one in Dubai. Oh my gosh, I learned a lot. So Dubai they really want to westernize. And, I was like, well, I don't know if I want to go to the show, because they treat women a little bit different there. And I've never been there. And, I don't know if I need a male to come with me and all this stuff. And it turns out there's a big opportunity to be a woman and to be an American woman. And, to give your perspective on, what it's like over here and what you like, because they're really catering what they do to the woman. And anyway, so I guess I just want to say that, this isn't just about here. It's internationally, the world has changed, and I think it's it's going to be really exciting to see what happens. And again, man, I really just want to encourage women to own their brilliance, know what you're good at, because people in general shortchange themselves because they think it's not like something special or, you know, amazing or newsworthy what they, you know, whatever they're good at. But you need to understand there's going to be somebody else that can't do whatever that is, you know? And so you really got to own it and bring that confidence and show up. All right.
That's perfect. Yeah, no, thank you so much, ladies. Give them a bigger applause right here. Yeah, and that was perfect, you know, kind of like a great way to see the overview of what the industry is like for the women right now and the past 10 years, and even Cheryl sharing what it was like in the good old days, I guess you can say. But shout out to all the good old gals out there. Maggie right here. Let's jump into specific to everybody's business industries. I'll start with you, Nina. What does HBI do exceptionally well in preparing students for the real job site culture, you know, that we were talking about?
So with our particular clientele, we have transitioning service members, a lot of them veterans who have they have loads of experience. They just don't know that they have that experience. When I ask a veteran or military personnel to describe what they did in the military, it's like 19 acronyms and like 3 hurrahs, and then they're like, I did it, right? But the reality is in the military, they show up, they train, they get orders, they go to work. They show up, they train, they get orders, they go to work. In the construction world, we want people who are going to show up, train, and get to work. Because the more work we get done, the more money we make, the more projects we have, right? And so I think what HBI does really, really, really well is it instills in the individual, if you show up and you train and you dedicate those 2 things, dedicate that time to me, I will ensure that I can connect you to the employers who will make sure that you get to work, that build the future that you want to create, the lifestyle you want to have. They're used to not having the ability to have control of their own life. After hours, after 5, 6 p.m., they don't get overtime. The time that they thought they were going to be able to spend birthdays, holidays, etc., they don't get that time. But in the trades industry, you do have the opportunity and the option to have your life. And I think that HBI really instills in them, look, if you really do dedicate this time to us, you can get your life back within the trades. You can get the life that you dream of, the life that you crave. And that's all on you. And so just let us have a moment and you can have an entire life of your dream world.
Perfect. We love HBI. Home Builders Institute, right? Perfect. Gotta let everybody make sure that everybody knows exactly what it is.
So many words. Home Builders Institute. Yes. So Home Builders Institute.
And let us know, the campus is in San Marcos.
Correct. The one here, we have 10 campuses nationwide, but this particular one in California is in San Marcos. We do have a variety of other training centers as well, academies that train a different demographic. We have corrections, and so we are a cost-free trades training center that offers certifications to help people feel more confident to step into that realm, that world that they might not necessarily feel as comfortable and confident walking into.
That's perfect. And Sarah, I'll jump over to you from the editorial, magazine, media side of things. What trends are you seeing in the construction space, and even more specific within the name, deck specialist, in the decking space, the decking world?
Well, a couple of things came to mind. This is not something new. It's something that's been going on, but I think maybe there's a renewed focus on it, and it's the idea of what they call biophilic design, where you're bringing the outdoors in and the indoors out, and they're connecting the 2 spaces. And this concept of integrating the deck with the landscape, with the surrounding environment to the home, even to the view itself, and how they're setting up the railing to capitalize on the views and to maximize the views at certain times of the day. Being cognizant of the sun and whether you need protection or don't need protection. That idea of just being outdoors and feeling the outdoors in your home space, it kind of reminded me a few weeks ago, I was walking in Huntington Beach wetlands, and I grew up in Huntington Beach. And so I'm over there in the wetlands, and I'm walking on a wooden bridge, a boardwalk, right? And this thing's been there since I was a kid. And for the first time, I stopped to look at how it was built. And I thought to myself, I know how high those tides get. They get about 7 feet tall right there. And when I'm looking down, it wasn't even high tide, and there was only a couple feet underneath the boardwalk that I was walking on. So I knew full well that boardwalk must be submerged at times, right? And then it creaks and it moves as the tides come in, and it's very windy there. And I thought, whoever built this had to think of all of these factors. They not only had to think of the materials that didn't leach into the groundwater there, because that's a preserve, that's a preserved area for the wildlife and the birds, but at the same time, they had to make sure that it was going to last, that they used the right materials, that it looked like it fit in with nature there, and that they used, even down to the fastener level, what kind of fasteners were they using that would be able to survive that much corrosion, because you have the beach airs blowing in off the coast right there, right across the street. And so it's all of those little factors that are going into these outdoor living spaces that contractors are taking into thought. How are the homeowners going to live in this space? How are they going to connect with nature? What are they going to do in this space? And what do they want to feel in this space? And how do we make that happen? And it's that connection with the outdoor world that I think it's not new, but I think it's taking an even greater role in the industry today.
Yeah, I think that makes a great point, especially with all the new materials and how it's being integrated, like you mentioned, just from the outside to the inside, and kind of what people are asking for, more natural items, I'm sure, things that, like you said, are good for the environment. So I love that. So, and Cheryl, you talked about it a little earlier about some difficult customers, and I can imagine owning a brick and mortar spot like yours as well, where people can come in, you just don't know who's coming in. But how do you handle professionalism, especially in a place where you have the authority within your shop?
Well, I think, first of all, there's always times where you get customers to come in and they're very guarded, and they assume that they're going to be ripped off. And I'm kind of in your face. I'm go big or go home. Obviously, I have turquoise hair and turquoise nails. It's my logo color. It's all over my building. My dog's name is Turk. So I'm a little larger than life. And you wouldn't have thought that of me if you'd met me 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, because I was the wallflower. And I'm like, yeah, I'm at the point in my life where it's go big or go home. But you always have people that are guarded and afraid, and that's what it is. It's fear. They're feared they're going to be ripped off. They're afraid that they're going to be led down the wrong road. They think that they've done all their research at home, so they know what's going on. And like I said, I'm quirky. I won't sell luxury vinyl flooring. I stopped selling it like 4 years ago. I never felt good about it. It was just breaking into the marketplace when I bought the flooring store. It's not healthy. It's not good for people. It's not good for pets. It's not good for the environment. It's not good anywhere except for the people who have petroleum waste products that they need a place to get rid of it. So the best way for them to get rid of it is to convince you that you should put it in your house as flooring, and that they don't have to pay to dispose of it. So what happens with that? It fails. 98% of the time, it fails. So you just spent a whole lot of money on garbage. So I won't sell it. And I tell people I won't sell it, and they're like, well, my contractor says it's the best thing ever. And I said, I totally understand. But not all contractors are experts in every phase of a remodel. And I say that to them. I said, I bet your contractor's fantastic. But because he's handling such a broad array of products, he may not have really specialized knowledge in all of them, and how could he? There's so many things to know. But this is why we don't sell it. This is why we have other products for you to choose from. And it's a big investment, and you should think about it. But so that's just kind of an example of a difficult customer. Sometimes there's difficult customers because things went wrong. And I'll say to them directly, sometimes things go wrong. But as long as we work together, we can take care of it, and it's all going to be okay. And when you have a project go wrong, and you tell the client, I'm not walking away until you're happy, and then you stay until they're happy, and they come in to pay off the end of the job, and they said, well, you kept your word. And I said, well, of course I did. My integrity is only mine to lose. And they give me a hug then. That's huge. You know, it's huge. Restoring people's faith in humanity is huge. The other thing, too, is there are just some people that aren't going to trust you or don't believe what you say, and that's okay. Or they're just unsure about you, and that's okay. But you just put your best foot forward, and if nothing else, take them in to meet my dog, because there's something about realizing that there's a dog in the showroom that just kind of allows people to let their guard down. So just be human.
Exactly. Treat people like you want to be treated. It's almost as simple as that sometimes.
Yeah, but who actually lives by that anymore? Sometimes not a lot.
And that's why we have, families and that have owned businesses like yours for so long, hopefully to keep that tradition alive. So thank you so much, Cheryl. That's perfect. Now, April right here, you talked about a little bit of, the new and upcoming ways that people can market themselves or they don't know how to market themselves. But how about for specifically women coming into the trades, whether they're just getting their license or their husband and wife duo? What's a marketing piece that you can kind of let the women know that they can kind of get everything going?
Where do I start? I think there's a lot of power in a personal brand. People might look at that as being an influencer. It could lead to that. That's great. But what that means is it gives you a lot of opportunity. And even if you think about, growing in your career, if you're documenting your passion for what you do on social media, I would have to imagine that somebody's going to be a little bit more inclined to want to work with you, And so that's crazy. That's what social media does. Like, it makes us all very transparent in our lives. And so I would recommend really focusing on your personal brand, and then documenting all of your work too, and getting really good photos. And I know the question is about marketing, but a big component of good marketing is having a good reputation. So make sure that you do good business, and always put the customer first. Like, they hire you to solve the problem and give them a good experience. And I think that's kind of a lot in the world right now, like even what you were talking about. It's like not just about building decks, it's about creating an amazing experience, that someone can enjoy. So, just make sure that you create a good experience, and that starts, from the initial conversation you have with somebody to how you follow through to how much you show that you care and that you help them. So yeah, those are a couple things. I could keep going, but we'll leave it there.
No, of course. If they have questions, they need to reach out to you. That's right. Sarah?
I'll add that the work that she's talking about, when they do great photos and they do great social media, that's how actually I, as an editor, get my ideas. A lot of my story ideas and the people I reach out to are all on social media. So I couldn't even do my job if there weren't, chat rooms, if there weren't, people posting all the time. I would have no knowledge about what's really going on in the industry. So I very much rely on it as an editor for those referrals.
I can totally agree with that. I encourage all of the students who come through our program to create a portfolio. You're in this class, you're learning how to build these ADUs, these 8x8s, 10x10s, 12x12s, putting them together. You have a neighbor right here who has a phone, I guarantee you. Or they have one, or I'll take these photos and I post them on LinkedIn. And I'm sharing and showcasing what they're learning in the program. And then I have employers who are like, hey, who's that? Can they do this? Can they do that? And I'm like, yes, you should come here and see them in person because you can also have my office for an interview. And then or as an employer, when you're hiring somebody, you might actually look them up online. If they went to this school and then they show up on my LinkedIn at that school doing that work, you're like, oh, they said what they said and it was true. And I can actually see them doing the work before I even have to test it out, before I even have to put it on a crew. And I think that's awesome. So doing that is incredible.
That's great. Now, April, right here, you talked about a little bit, the new and upcoming ways that people can market themselves, but they don't want to market themselves. But how about for specifically when coming into the trades, whether they're just getting their license or their husband and wife duo? What's the marketing piece that you kind of let the women know that they can get everything going?
Where do I start? I think there's a lot of power of personal brand. People might look at that as being an influencer. You can lean to that, that's great. But what that means is it gives you a lot of opportunity. And even if you think about growing in your career, if you're documenting your passion for what you do on social media, I would have to imagine that somebody's going to be a little bit more inclined to want to work with you, and so that's crazy. That's what social media does. Like, it makes us all very transparent in our eyes. And so I would recommend really focusing on your personal brand. And then documenting all of your work too, getting really good photos. And I know the question is about marketing, but a big component of good marketing is having a good reputation. So make sure that you do good business, and always, put the customer first. Like, they hire you to solve the problem, and give them a good experience. And I think that's kind of a lot in the world right now, like even what you were talking about. It's like not just about building decks, it's about creating an amazing experience, that someone can enjoy. So, just make sure that you create a good experience, and that starts, from the initial conversation you have with somebody to how you follow through and to how much you show that you care and then you help them. Those are
The work that she's talking about, when they do great photos and they do great social media, that's how actually I, as an editor, get my ideas. A lot of my story ideas and the people I reach out to are all on social media. So I couldn't do my job if there weren't, chat rooms and there weren't, people posting all the time. I would have no knowledge about what's really going on in the industry. So I very much rely on it as an editor for those referrals.
I can totally agree with that. I encourage all the students who come through our program to create a portfolio. You're in this class, you're learning how to build these ADUs, these 8x8s, 10x10s, 12x12s, putting them together. You have a neighbor right here who has a phone, I guarantee you. Or they have one, I'll take these photos and I post them on LinkedIn. And I'm sharing and showcasing what they're learning in the program. And then I have employers who are like, hey, who's that? Can they do this? Can they do that? And I'm like, yes, you should come here and see them in person because you can also have my office for an interview. And then we're, as an employer, when you're hiring somebody, you might actually look them up online. If they went to this school and then they show up on my LinkedIn at that school doing that work, you're like, oh, they said what they said and it was true. And I can actually see them doing the work before I even have to test it out, before I even have to put it on a group. And I think that's awesome. So doing that is incredible.
I know, just a kind of a side note there. And it just kind of goes off of what, because that's how you and I met, was through a group. She asked, a question about content ideas or what you want to see in the publication. And that's a great opportunity. And there's a million Facebook groups out there. I mean, there's a million. And people help each other, I mean, it's so cool, the power of the internet. Like, early on in my career, in my business, I was banging my head on the table all the time, like trying to figure things out. And if you leverage these online groups, I'll say online groups, people in there, and they want to help you, it's because we know how difficult it is to bang your head on the table, And so anyway, I know this doesn't have to do with marketing, but really just taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you and participating in those groups and asking questions and connecting with people online. I grew my business by doing manual outreach, following people on social media, commenting on their posts, starting conversations, being helpful, and I think that helps, anybody across the board.
Yeah, the grassroots marketing, the guerrilla marketing that a lot of people kind of shy away from nowadays, I think is a big piece. A lot of opportunity. I think those Facebook groups, the marketing, the networking groups that are thrown around their community, the network of contractors, Free Hero, was kind of like what we're doing here today. So it's perfect. So thank you for that. And I mean, I think we hear it all throughout, hiring processes. I think all throughout all industries, but even specifically, there's not enough good people out there. What would you say to that, Nina?
You haven't done the Home Builders Institute. No, truly, that's unfortunate. I think that is sad because I think that excellent individuals and performers are often, they fall under excellent leadership. And so low-key, I would want to ask the contractor, you need a mirror? No. But Jackie, seriously, I really think that you might be attracting exactly what you're putting out there. Are you respecting your employees? Are you taking care of your environment? All of those things. But I would ask, what are they actually looking for? What do they actually desire in a candidate? And is that reasonable? Is that logical? Is that true? Is that right? It is completely outrageous to ask someone to start at an entry level and have no opportunity for development, growth, and training, and the ability to have access to that within a company. I have met companies who want to pay below minimum wage for an entry-level individual. And if you're desperate, you'll do it. But as someone who is getting started, there is an element of, I want to show up and I want to do the work, and I need you to trust me. At least aim to do what you can as an employer, as a contractor, to make those, to show up for your crew, to show up for your people. And then I would also venture to say, where are you seeking these people truly? As tradesmen and women, when you're consistently applying to jobs on the internet, it's a trades job, it's an in-person job, it's a physical labor job, and you're trusting the sea of resumes to do a good job and making that connection for you. You're trusting your answers on a computer to display what you're capable of. To me, that you're not utilizing the real authentic ability that you have to show up as who you are and what you can do. So I know that's on the contractor side, but I think that if the contractors are making themselves available to performers, to people who want to learn, to people who want to show up, going to career fairs and doing real live expos, if they're doing those kinds of things, they will find those people. They will. Some of my students are overachievers, and I've known them to walk onto a job site with steel-toe boots and a hard hat and be like, can you point me to the site supervisor, please? And they're like, no, you don't belong here. And it's like, actually, I just want to go to the hut, wherever that is, and meet somebody And then are you hiring? Or I'll clean up the trash. I'll pick up the site just so that they can meet somebody. If you're an employer or a contractor that wants good people, you have to make yourself available, and you have to let, you kind of touched on, talked about like being trustworthy and honest. I think that when you can exude that, you will attract that. And I think that the mirror might be helpful, maybe retreat or something.
Yeah, it makes a good point. I mean, especially you're touching base on the student side. They got to make themselves available too. They got to go to the job sites. They got to go to these job career fairs that are out there. Because it makes a good point, because those two people that are committed, they're going to meet in the middle somehow at some point. So that's a great point. For Sarah, what separates contractors who grow from those who stay stuck? I know you mentioned Casey earlier. He's a veteran in the space. I'm sure he has a lot to tell you as well. Too.
Yes, it does, actually. We talk pretty regularly. I think what differentiates the builders that are growing from those that are stuck is those that are willing to embrace the newest technologies, willing to embrace AI, willing to embrace the new products that are available to them, that they are willing to investigate, research, explore, collaborate with other builders on, so that they get a better understanding of what the possibilities are with these materials and with these technologies. We actually have two columnists in the magazine, and the column is about tools and technology. So they purposely explore new technology, new tools that on the job site, and they in their latest article they did glasses that are driven by metal, right? And so they go to the job site and they explore what it is to wear these glasses on the job site, and ask it questions and ask it to do this and ask it to do that. And then they say what's good and bad, what the pros and cons to that particular technology is. And the builders that are willing to embrace the newest technology and are not afraid, they're going to grow. The builders that remain and do the same things year after year as the industry basically passes them by, they're not going to grow. They're not going to be recognized by the industry. And they'll probably lose business over time eventually, because if you have a builder who can give higher quality products and understands the specific for, let's say, a region of California, right? We need to have specific products for wire mediation, for even water mediation at times, right? And if you don't understand what's available to you and what's being introduced to the market, you may just be choosing the same products over and over again, but that's not going to be the best products for the homeowner, and it's not going to be the best products going forward. And so that's what differentiates those that grow from those that get stuck.
Yeah, it's like Vegas, and when was the last one? I think it was Florida. And then just all those expos, they always show all those wonderful products. Owning your construction related business, what would you suggest or give some advice for someone that's looking to open up something similar?
I think you should work in the industry to see if you will like it first. You know, you need to be passionate about it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's how you learn. Don't be afraid to ask questions, get the answers, research the answers. I'm a person that has to understand things thoroughly, or I can't move forward. You have to understand. So ask questions, research, ask more questions. You can do better. You can have more confidence in the understandings. Hardest thing for me to learn was to ask for help. That was really hard. Ask Jeff.
We're still
Still working on that. Ask for help. you would be amazed how many people out there want to help you. You know, I went from one industry to another, still have my foot in the first one, but jumped in wholeheartedly into the flooring industry. And I met the most generous, giving, kind people who helped me. Whenever I called and said, I need help figuring this out, they didn't need to help me. They didn't have to help me. They just did. And I was very real with them on a human level, and then we got to know each other, and now we're friends, and I'll be waiting on a customer in the showroom, and one of my tile guys shows up covered in dust and grit, and I'm like, excuse me, and I go over and hug him, because it's always a joy. But for this woman who knew nothing about flooring, and for some reason decided to buy a flooring store, and then called the installers that were attached to the store and said, explain this to me. I heard what the vendors say. I'm not sure I believe them. Explain it to me in a way I can understand. And it meant a lot. So you need to ask questions and you need to ask for help, because people really do want to help you succeed. They want to see a success story. So that's my best advice.
That's perfect, because it kind of leads into a lot of the marketing where you it goes well, because you're looking to build a story behind it. Is into social media, or what on full business, you have websites. So I mean, how important is it to tell a story, you know, as a business owner?
It's more important than it's ever been. And this is kind of what I was saying, how things have kind of come full circle. I feel that way with marketing, where it's kind of Mad Men era. So for a long time, you could kind of check the boxes and do all these digital marketing things and be successful. Well, now it's a lot more competitive. It costs more. And so, for instance, if you have, and again, I'm coming from the business owner standpoint, if you and your competitor have the same amount of reviews, they're all 5-star reviews. And I mean, let's face it, sometimes when you go on websites, the work all starts to kind of look the same. You know, you're some homeowner looking for a deck blower, for instance. So at that point, what do they have to go by with, you know, their decision to work with you? It's going to be price. And no artist wants to go in for the cheapest price. And I call my deck builders artists, because I think they make amazing creative things. Because of the deck builder, sometimes it's very inspiring. So storytelling is really important, because it's really going to help separate you from your competition. But it also is what resonates with somebody on an emotional level. You know, and so if you can connect with somebody like that, especially with your marketing before they even talk to you on the phone, then you're earning trust. And so by being open and honest and telling a story, it's going to inspire somebody to want to work with you. And then second to that is the type of, like, storytelling is content too, right? Like, talking about certain things. And so if you can talk about the things that other people don't talk about, like pricing, what your process is, mitigating things. So I love when you were talking about, I think, like the bosses out there and the ones they are telling people what could possibly go wrong, and that it does happen. You know, I had a prospect ask me that the other day, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna love working with you. This is a fabulous question. Thank you. Like, writing content and talking about things like that, people are so empowered now. Consumers are so empowered with AI. And that's the type of stuff that is going to get you found. Because everyone's out looking, you know, I mean, nobody knows. Like, even, it was interesting, I had somebody on my podcast, We Love Deck Builders, last week, and, you know, he was just talking about how their budget is. Because, first of all, most of the time they don't know. You really need to be helpful in explaining to them why something does cost what it does. So I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole. But what was the question again? Did I answer it? Storytelling. Yeah. So I'm really passionate about this, and I'll give a couple of examples too. Yeah. So you do quality craftsmanship. Yeah. So you have great customer service. I hope so. That doesn't make you different. That's to be expected. But if you can tell me a story about how you've been, on the top of a roof since you were 5, working with your dad, well, I know you're in it. And I know you're not going to just, you're not just trying to make money. I mean, of course you are, but like you're in it, and I'm going to trust you. So hopefully that was a good example. Mm-hmm.
I'd actually like to add a story from the other side. Recently I had some contractor, and she was talking about price, and we interviewed one contractor, and they seemed to be too expensive initially, right, from the work we were asking them. And it kind of turned us off, and we didn't really have any budget, but we knew the ballpark, right? Well, they exceeded that ballpark, and so we continued to look for alternative contractors. Well, we ended up going with a different contractor who ironically ended up costing more money, but the work was superior to what it would have been. And we were just as satisfied, even though initially we were thinking budget, but really we were thinking quality when it was all said and done.
Yeah, that's a great point. With the fact there, but again, that story time, the storytelling of who you are, how you got there, why you're there, I think just absolutely just creates that relationship before they even dial your phone number. So it's a good point. And Nina, I mean, I hope we're seeing more young women come into the trades. Is that what you're saying through HBI? And if so, what do you think is driving you? What's pushing that motion forward?
Without a doubt. There are definitely more females who are stepping up and enrolling, just stepping up in general in the trades world. Now, I don't necessarily believe, I see it now. Let me be clear. I think in the past and previously, there have probably been loads of women who have been involved in the trades. They just weren't allowed to be celebrated, to be acknowledged, to be noticed. They probably were designing things and not getting the credit. I mean, we have writers who had aliases. Like, this is not an abnormal or absurd thought. I think today we have more women who look and say, this has actually been going on and I can do this and I know I can do this and I now have the space to do it. That comes from the women in the trades from before who said, I'm going to create the space. Or even our counterparts, the men who are there, who are helping create that space that women can step in. I don't know that there's a large influence of one thing over another. I think that it is just the awareness that you can, so you do. And the empowerment of you can, so why aren't you? And just that challenge, I think that allows women to feel comfortable in the trade space versus the lack of comfortability, maybe, I don't know, safe space.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the discussion. Or anybody see anything different or heard anything different, maybe within your area?
I would have to agree. It's not that there's necessarily a whole lot more women, although obviously statistically there are. I just think that the door has been opened to women to being more visible, to taking on greater roles, especially on the business level. They could take whatever role that they excel in, whether it be the actual construction, or whether it be the business side, or whether it be the design side, or homeowner interaction, or whatever their strong suit. Might even be social media or marketing, right? They can step into whatever role that they best fit, and I think that visibility is what we're seeing. I had a previous student who, as a female, she was a combat engineer in the military, so it's construction. So they said they built things not to last because it was never up to code. It's military stuff. But when she got out,
she, is she's affording, she's doing work, and she's enjoying it. And the one thing that was driving her insane, and she was tempted to leave, she's like, I can't find boots and clothes that fit. This is absurd. I don't have a 44 blah 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 la 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 waist, and this isn't built for me. The straps on this belt aren't built for me. And so I said, so what are you going to do about it? You've literally just told me that there's a problem. I would never know that because I don't put boots on. I don't wear a hard hat. I can't wear that unless hair is flat. So I don't. Now maybe that's an ignorant or naivety on my part, but you do. So you're experiencing this right now. How do you fix it? Now I'm not telling you to go start designing things, but I'm sure you know somebody. And as soon as you start vocalizing those things to empower to say, hey, this is obviously an area we need to. She has friends and now they have an entire brand and it's a thing. And so creating the solution to the small problem that you saw, it was the awareness, the visibility, the, hey, you belong here. Put your boots on, put your stuff on. This will fit you.
For everybody, we're going to go down the line. Cheryl, we'll start with you. It's kind of just to close it all out. If a young woman is listening to this episode thinking about entering the trades, what would you tell her?
Find a trade you're passionate about. Find something you're passionate about. I think that's important. Learn, ask questions, educate others as you learn. Yeah. Ask for help. Share it out. When you get to the point that you can, share it out.
I think what's important to consider is that there's room, there's availability, there's possibility. If you are at all creative, if you like working with your hands, if you like the construction industry, if you like working behind the scenes, there's a world for you. It's still a growing industry. It's growing by leaps and bounds, in fact. And the more that women accept the fact that there's availability, opportunity here, it's just going to get even bigger and the opportunities are going to grow. And so I would say just, explore it, investigate, and see if it's something that would fit for you. No.
Story time. When I first entered this field, I was so nervous. It was also during COVID, and I was locked behind a computer before I actually had the ability to get out and meet with people in person. But I was so nervous. It was like all of a sudden I was that shy 6-year-old again, And I went to my first trade show, Deck Expo, and I literally felt like I had moved across the country and was going to high school for the first time. Who's this blonde girl? What does she know? Talking down to myself in that way. But the beautiful thing was that everybody was very nice, and I've met some incredible people in this field. And so you really just got to put yourself out there and don't hold yourself back and understand your worth. And that's the biggest thing. I see so many amazing badass bees, if you know what I mean, out there that aren't knowing it, And it just kills me. Just know your worth and really own it. Ask for what you deserve.
As a non-trades person, I say, just being a part of the trades industry, I think, in short, I'd say great. Get out there and do it. But more than that, I would say, what's your why? Because if you can plug into their why, you can find out what they're passionate about. And the trades industry is hard. It's hard work, whether you're convincing someone to buy a floor or deck or trying to figure out how to solve what went wrong when someone else tried to do it. It's difficult work. But when you remember your why, The vision is there. You don't forget why you're doing it. And then I would just remind them that someone else has helped you already. There have been trailblazers within the construction industry that have already done this. It is up to you to carry the baton. It is up to us to do it collectively together. And so to, one, remind them of who they are and why they want to do it, but empower them and remind them that they have had that road slightly paved. But it's up to them to lean on the people around them now to continue to pave it and move it forward. And then they really will find an entourage of individuals who are willing to propel them forward. And if they have a hard time finding those people, to get in contact with me, because I will write videos who will most certainly point them in the right direction. And then just never stop learning. So everything is consistently changing. I mean, and if you grow stale, you'll grow stagnant. You'll grow stagnant, you'll get behind. So never stop learning. Keep that creative thing in your mind going, because your vision only grows, your dream only gets bigger, and then your network only gets greater.
That's perfect. Everybody give them a big round of applause right here. Yes. It's awesome. Just to add everybody up on the panel, thank you so much for being vulnerable, sharing your story, sharing your business. Like you said, own it, share the wealth, ask for help. Sarah, just bringing in all the insight of just the ladies out there that are listening to this. So give yourselves a big round of applause. You guys stand up. Give each other a little smile around right here, because it's once history of my son, so it's awesome to have you live with me and talk about it. Again, this is the camaraderie that the trades bring. So